The galaxy had not known true silence in centuries. Trade routes buzzed with traffic. Broadcasts hummed through space. Artificial minds whispered across networks. But on the fifth day of cycle 4273, a message cut through the noise like a blade. It came from the Irion star system, a dead zone near the edge of the Kavros expanse, where unstable gravity fields and asteroid belts had kept explorers away for generations. The region was marked in red on every Galactic Union map. Uncharted, dangerous, empty. Until now, the signal was brief, steady, and unmistakably human. This is Nova Eden. The Irion system is under our protection. Entry without permission will be considered an act of aggression. We are not lost. We are not weak. We are home. Then silence. No code, no request, just a declaration. The reaction was immediate. The Union Council, housed on the glittering space station Concordia Prime, went into emergency session. The Irion system wasn't just any star system. It held rare helium-7 reserves, a resource critical to the Union's energy grid. The idea that anyone had seized it without warning set off alarms across every member world. Some councillors demanded military action, others urged caution. Intelligence networks scoured the origin of the signal, and what they found turned speculation into disbelief. The broadcast had come from a colony ship lost 152 years ago. Ark Horizon, a generational ship that had vanished en route to a deep space terraforming mission. Its disappearance had been mourned, then forgotten. Officially, it was listed as a navigation failure. Privately, many believed the Union had quietly abandoned the search, but somehow its passengers had survived. And now they had seized a star system. In a quiet chamber on the east wing of Concordia Prime, Commander Alex Voss studied the transmission again. He watched the face in the broadcast, a stern man in a dark uniform, standing before a silver emblem shaped like a rising sun. There was strength in his voice, confidence, defiance. Alex had been chosen not just for his diplomatic training, but for his reputation. He had de-escalated conflicts on frontier colonies and negotiated ceasefires in 3-star clusters. He was known for calm judgment and sharp instincts. Still, even he was shaken. Nova Eden wasn't a ghost. It was real. And it had teeth. A soft chime echoed through his room. A voice followed. "Commander Voss, Councillor Mira is ready for you." He stood, adjusted his collar, and left the room. Councillor Mira was one of the few leaders Alex trusted, practical, even-tempered, and one of the few who believed in negotiation over firepower. She stood at a large display table, the Irion system projected in glowing blue, ships, signals, gravitational anomalies, everything mapped with cold precision. "They've fortified the system," she said without looking up. "Automated defenses, orbital satellites, a fleet of unknown configuration. They've been preparing for years." Alex stepped closer. No one noticed. Mira sighed. "The expanse hides many things. We thought they were dead, so we stopped looking." Alex looked at the system. A swirl of asteroids circled one livable planet, Ida Prime. According to the signal metadata, that was now the capital of Nova Eden. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. "Go there. Talk to them. Find out what they want. Convince them to stand down before someone panics and sends a battleship." Alex nodded slowly. "And if they refuse?" Mira finally looked up. "Don't let it come to that." His ship, the Tranquility, launched 6 hours later. A diplomatic vessel, small, fast, unarmed. The journey took 2 days through subspace corridors, past fading beacons and abandoned outposts. The closer they came to the Irion system, the darker space seemed, like the galaxy itself had forgotten this place existed. As the Tranquility dropped out of subspace, sensors went wild. Dozens of satellites locked onto their position. A deep, low-frequency signal scanned the ship. Biometrics, weapons, energy levels. It was advanced. Too advanced for a colony that had started with little more than survival gear. A voice crackled over comms, calm, male, unidentified Union vessel. "You are entering Nova Eden territory. State your purpose." Alex stepped to the console. "This is Commander Alex Voss of the Galactic Union. I request an audience with your leadership." There was a pause, then permission granted. "Any hostile action will be met with force." The channel went silent. Alex took a breath. "Take us in." As the ship entered the orbit of Ida Prime, the planet came into view, lush, green and thriving. Cities gleamed beneath protective domes. Sky lanes buzzed with aircraft. This wasn't a struggling outpost. It was a civilization reborn. Alex watched in silence as the world grew larger on the screen. They weren't just alive, they had flourished. The descent into Ada Prime felt more like an inspection than a welcome. The Tranquility moved slowly through the planet's upper atmosphere, guided by invisible magnetic rails. Its engines were locked out. The controls responded with delay. Alex Voss stood behind the pilot, watching the surface come into view through the ship's wide observation window. Below them was a sight few in the galaxy ever expected to see, an independent human colony thriving outside the reach of the Union. The city beneath them gleamed with order and symmetry. Domes shielded entire districts. Solar arrays stretched like fields of metal across the hills. There were roads but no visible traffic, only floating platforms, drones and automated rail cars. No chaos, no decay. It was clear this place had not just survived, it had advanced. The landing pad was wide and circular, with smooth black metal and glowing white strips along its edge. As the Tranquility touched down, the magnetic rails disengaged with a soft hiss. "Engines are unlocked," the pilot confirmed. "But we're being watched. At least 6 drones circling the ship." Alex nodded. "Keep systems in standby. No weapons, no surprises." He stepped toward the hatch. His reflection stared back at him in the polished metal, sharp black uniform, crisp collar, and a face lined with responsibility more than age. At 36 he had seen more in the galaxy than most saw in a lifetime, but nothing like this. With a soft hiss the hatch opened. Bright white light poured into the cabin. 2 figures stood waiting. Both wore dark grey uniforms with high collars and clean lines. No weapons were visible, but their posture was firm, alert. Between them stood a man taller than both. His uniform bore a golden emblem over the chest, a rising sun behind a mountain. The man stepped forward. His eyes were sharp, his voice calm. "Commander Alex Voss, welcome to Nova Aden. I am Chancellor Derek Solon." Derek led him through the outer corridor and into a sleek transport capsule. The walls were smooth metal. The interior was silent, humming faintly as the capsule sped through a clear tube across the city. Outside, Alex could see the structures pass. Spiraling towers, vast gardens, clean air ducts, solar sails mounted on rooftops. Everything was precise, calculated, controlled. "I must admit," Alex said, breaking the silence, "this is not what I expected." Derek looked at him. "You expected ruins, perhaps tents and smoke. That would have been easier to manage, wouldn't it?" Alex held his gaze. "We didn't expect anything. Your ship was lost. We believed you were gone." "No," Derek said. "You stopped looking." The capsule slowed. They stepped out into a large corridor lined with murals, scenes of survival, rebirth and construction. One showed a crashed colony ship torn open across a barren field. Another showed children planting trees under dome lights. The last was a depiction of the city, as it was now alive, defiant, radiant. They entered a chamber that served as a central hall. The room was circular, the ceiling high, and the floor made of dark glass that showed an illuminated map of the Arian system beneath their feet. Derek motioned to a seat across from him. Alex sat. "I'll get straight to the point," Alex said. "The Galactic Union considers your sudden claim of an entire star system to be a provocation." "We didn't provoke," Derek replied. "We declared and seized a resource-rich system without consulting the Union." "Because we are not part of the Union," Derek said calmly. "We were once, but when your council decided we were too far, too costly, too difficult to rescue, we were no longer your responsibility." Alex paused. He had studied the old files. The logs from Ark Horizon showed a slow systems failure, then silence. The official records ended with a statement of mission presumed lost. No search teams, no retrieval efforts. Derek continued, "We built this world from nothing. We learned to terraform without your help. We designed a sustainable energy grid. We taught ourselves to survive. Now we protect what we've created." Alex leaned forward. "And what do you want?" "Recognition," Derek said. "And sovereignty. The Aryan system belongs to Nova Aiden. We will not give it up. Not to the Union. Not to anyone." Alex knew this was a message, not just to him, but to the entire galaxy. "You've positioned defense systems across the system," Alex said. "That doesn't signal peace. It signals readiness," Derek replied. "We are not aggressive, Commander, but we are not helpless. If the Union sends warships, we will defend our skies." Alex stood slowly. "Then let's make sure it doesn't come to that." Later, in the quarters prepared for him, Alex stood at the window. The city below shimmered with quiet energy. There were no crowds, no protests, no poverty, but there was something else, a stillness that bordered on control. He opened his datapad, tapped into his secure channel, and recorded a message for Counselor Mira. "Nova Aiden is not a desperate colony. They are organized, advanced, and determined. Chancellor Solon is willing to talk, but only from a position of strength. I advise caution. Do not mistake them for weak. I need more time." He closed the file and looked out once more at the glowing city. This was more than a mission. It was a reckoning. Commander Alex Voss awoke to silence. The soft lighting of his assigned guest quarters slowly brightened, mimicking a sunrise. The room was clean, modern, and almost too perfect. Everything had a place. Every corner was smooth, seamless. No clutter, no personality. It felt more like a museum exhibit than a living space. He sat up, rubbed the sleep from his eyes, and stepped toward the wide window. Below him, Nova Eden was already awake. Drones zipped between towers, moving goods and scanning infrastructure. Automated rail cars glided silently along their tracks. He had seen efficiency before, but never like this. It was almost unnatural. After dressing, he made his way to the main building, where Derek Solon had offered him access to limited areas of the city, what he called zones of comfort. Everything beyond that was restricted. Alex wasn't surprised. Trust was still thin, but trust had to begin somewhere. A young Nova Eden officer was assigned to accompany him. Her name was Kale Nera, no more than 25, with sharp eyes and a quiet manner. She was tasked with showing Alex the historical vault, a curated archive meant to document Nova Eden's survival story. The vault was located beneath the central library. As they descended in a glass lift, Kale spoke briefly. "We keep detailed records," she said, "for the next generations. Everything since the crash, every decision made, every life lost." "Your people are thorough," Alex said. She gave a small nod. "When no one's coming to help, you make sure not to forget." The lift opened into a wide circular room. Its walls were lined with digital panels, each one showing different moments in the colony's history: construction footage, early terraforming, medical logs, family trees. Alex approached one panel and tapped it. It flickered, then displayed a recording dated 152 years earlier. Day 18. Hull breach sealed. 27 dead. We've begun harvesting soil. Radiation levels manageable. Morale low but holding. Another clip played. Day 89. First successful crop of protein moss. We are no longer dependent on ration packs. Water purification now self-sustaining. Alex watched in silence. The people on screen looked tired, worn but determined. Farmers, engineers, children, all of them fighting to survive in a place no one knew they had landed. He turned to Kale. "Did the Union know any of this?" Kale hesitated. "No one ever came. We sent signals, beacons, nothing." Alex nodded. The truth stung, even though he had suspected it. He moved toward a sealed console at the far end of the room. It was labeled Black Archive in small white lettering. Unlike the others, it was locked. "What's this?" Kale looked uneasy. Restricted. Only the Chancellor and his advisors have access. Alex leaned closer. The console glowed faintly, still active. May I? He asked. Kale didn't respond, but she didn't stop him either. He placed his hand over the console. Unauthorized user. Voice verification required. He paused, then quietly said, Commander Alex Voss, Union diplomatic access. The console blinked. There was a pause. Then it opened. Kale's eyes widened slightly. That shouldn't work. Alex didn't answer. He focused on the files opening before him. These weren't public logs. These were classified transmissions, Union records, intercepted and stored by Nova Eden systems. He scanned the first one, a message from Union Command, dated only 6 months after Ark Horizon had gone silent. Official directive, cease all recovery efforts. Status of Ark Horizon marked as lost to deep space hazard. Public inquiry closed. Another message. Analysis confirms high cost of search with low probability of success. Recommendation. Redirect resources. Do not release cause of failure to press. Alex's jaw tightened. They had stopped looking. Not because they couldn't find the ship, but because it wasn't worth the trouble. He closed the file, his hand clenched at his side. He looked at Kale. Do the people of Nova Eden know this? Kale's voice was soft. Some do, but most only know the outcome, that we were forgotten. Alex stared at the screen. In that moment, his mission changed. This wasn't just a diplomatic crisis. It was the buried truth of a lie the Union had quietly lived with for a century and a half. That night, Alex returned to his quarters. He paced in silence, reviewing what he had found. He sent another secure message to Counselor Mera. They know everything. The abandonment, the cover-up, the intercepted files prove it. We failed them, and they built something stronger than we ever expected. Chancellor Solon is not bluffing. He sees Nova Eden as a new nation, one born from betrayal. My recommendation, no threats, no ultimatums. We must tread carefully. He paused before ending the message. Also, how did my credentials open a Nova Eden security archive? I want to know who programmed their systems. He sent the file and shut the console. Outside his window, the city lights blinked like stars trapped below the sky. Alex wondered how many people on Union worlds would sleep soundly tonight, if they knew what he now knew. This mission was no longer about peace talks. It was about facing the ghosts buried in the past, and deciding what to do with them now. The sun over Ada Prime rose like a torch behind the city's glass towers, casting long shadows across the gleaming structures. The sky was clear, peaceful, but inside the Nova Eden central chamber, the atmosphere was anything but calm. Commander Alex Voss stood across from Chancellor Derek Solon, tension building between them like a stretched cable ready to snap. We've both seen the messages, Alex said. His voice was steady but firm. You know the Union failed you. I know it too. But if you escalate this, if your defense systems fire on Union ships, there's no turning back. The galaxy won't care about your history. They'll see a threat. Derek's eyes narrowed, arms behind his back. We didn't start this. We survived it. Now we defend it. Alex pointed to a holographic display of the Ariane system. Dozens of Nova Eden satellites now formed a grid across its orbital plane, each one equipped with high-frequency pulse emitters and kinetic barriers. It was a fortress in space. You've militarized an entire star system, Alex said. This isn't self-defense anymore. It looks like preparation for war. Derek stepped closer to the display. We've had a long time to prepare. When no one comes to help, you learn how to help yourself. Alex watched him. You're not just preparing for an attack, you're expecting it. Derek finally looked directly at him. Yes, and we're ready. Hours later, Alex returned to his quarters and opened the secure channel to Counselor Mera. Derek won't back down. He believes a Union strike is inevitable, and he's made sure Nova Eden won't be caught off guard. His people trust him completely. They believe in their independence the way others believe in survival itself. He paused, then continued. But the Union's fleet is en route. They'll arrive in less than 48 hours. If we don't de-escalate now, there will be bloodshed. He sent the message. Then he made a decision. That evening, Alex requested access to the civilian districts. Officially, it was to observe Nova Aiden's social systems and public welfare. Unofficially, he needed to understand something. Were these people truly behind Derek's stance, or were they under pressure? Kale Nera guided him through the outer zones, neighborhoods untouched by military planning. These were where the children played, where elders gathered in shaded squares, where families lived inside homes that looked more like Earth than anything he'd seen in space. It was clean, it was safe, and strangely, it was quiet. Too quiet. Where's the public media? Alex asked. News, reports, even entertainment. Kale hesitated. All information is regulated. It keeps things focused. Focused on what? Survival, strength, unity. Alex stopped walking. Do people here get to question decisions? Kale turned to him. They don't need to. They trust the Chancellor. He gave them everything. Alex's gut twisted. A society built on survival had turned into one built on obedience. It wasn't oppression, but it wasn't freedom either. He found a small group of teenagers playing near a hydro fountain. One of them noticed him and whispered to the others, curious. A few came closer. You're from the Union, right? One of them asked. Alex smiled gently. Yes. Is it true the Union left us behind? Alex didn't lie. Yes, it is. The child nodded. No anger, just understanding. That's why we don't trust outsiders. Alex crouched down. What if the Union came to talk, not fight? What would you want us to know? The boy thought for a moment. That we're not weak, and we're not wrong. That night, Alex returned to the central chamber, where Derek was reviewing fleet movements from a glowing table. We need to talk, Alex said. Derek looked up. We've said enough. No, Alex replied. You've shown me what you've built, but you've also hidden what it cost. The people follow you, yes, but they don't speak freely. They don't question. That's not leadership. That's control. Derek's jaw tensed. Don't lecture me about freedom, Commander. We were forgotten. We survived. The Union doesn't get to judge us now. Alex stepped closer. Then don't become the thing you hate. You say you want recognition. Prove it. Let your people speak. Let them decide if they want war. Derek's silence said everything. Alex's comlink buzzed, an encrypted signal. Mira's voice came through. Commander Voss, the fleet has entered the Arion boundary. They are awaiting final authorization. I'm holding them back, but not for long. If Nova Aiden's weapons activate, they will respond. Alex looked at Derek. You said you're ready, but are you ready for what comes next? Cities burning. Children you just showed me, buried in rubble. Still, Derek said nothing. Then with slow, deliberate steps, he moved toward a console. He opened a private link, one known only to Nova Aiden Command. This is Solon. Hold defensive activation. Stand by for further instruction. The chamber fell quiet. Derek didn't look at Alex. He stared at the map, at the solar system they had claimed, at the planet they had built from ruin. I will delay our weapons, he said, but not forever. You have one chance. Stop your fleet, or the next signal they hear won't be a warning. It will be the end. Alex nodded. He didn't thank him. He turned, walked out, and opened a new channel to Mira. He's standing down, for now, but this is the edge. One wrong move, and we fall. Above them across the silent sky, the fate of an entire star system hung in balance. The sky over Ada Prime was clear and still, but tension crackled in the air like static before a storm. The people of Nova Aiden went about their routines, unaware that war sat on their doorstep. Above the planet, just beyond the reach of the atmosphere, the Union's fleet had arrived. 12 heavy-class warships, each armed with enough firepower to level entire cities. Commander Alex Voss stood in the communications chamber, staring at the live feed from orbit. He could see the Union fleet aligned in formation, engines glowing, weapons charged but not yet primed. They were waiting for the order, waiting for him. Behind him, Chancellor Derek Solon paced slowly, hands clasped behind his back. His face was unreadable, calm on the outside, but Alex sensed the weight building inside him. "We don't have much time," Alex said quietly. Derek looked at the screen. "You've seen our history. You've seen our people. We won't bend." "I'm not asking you to bend," Alex replied. "I'm asking you to talk with your people. Let them decide what happens next. If this is truly their home, their choice should matter." Derek turned to him. "Do you think the Union lets its people vote on war? Do you think the Council will ask before pressing the trigger?" Alex didn't flinch. "No, but I'm asking you to be better than them." Silence stretched between them. Then Derek spoke. "There's a broadcast system we use only in emergencies. A direct link to every home, every console. No edits, no delay. You want to speak to them." He stepped aside. "Then do it." Alex stared at him. "They won't trust me." "They don't have to," Derek said. "They just need to listen." The chamber lights dimmed. A soft tone signaled that the emergency channel was live. Across Nova Aiden, inside homes, offices, farms, and dormitories, every screen lit up with the face of a stranger. Alex stood tall, breathing slowly. "My name is Commander Alex Voss," he began. "I come from the Galactic Union. I was sent here to make peace. But I've seen what you built. I've seen your lives, your strength, your history, and I've seen what was done to you, how you were left behind." He paused, choosing each word carefully. "I won't defend what the Union did. It was wrong. They failed you, and for that I am sorry." Across the colony, people stopped, watched, listened. "But now there is a choice. You are stronger than ever. You've proven you can survive. You don't need the Union's approval. But if you fire the first shot, if you engage their fleet, everything you built will burn." He looked directly into the lens. "You don't have to kneel. You don't have to surrender. But you can speak. You can choose peace. Not for them, for yourselves." He ended the transmission. The silence that followed was heavy. Derek watched him, saying nothing. Within an hour, the effects began to ripple across Nova Aiden. A crowd formed in Unity Square, the colony's central plaza, then another outside the council tower. Citizens began sending messages to local leaders, demanding a voice. Screens lit up with calls for open dialogue. For the first time in decades, the people weren't following orders. They were asking questions. Alex stood at the edge of the plaza, watching. He didn't speak. He didn't lead. He just waited. Kalanira approached him, eyes wide with disbelief. "They're organizing," she said. "They've never done this before, because they never had to," Alex said. "Until now." Back inside the command tower, Derek stood alone in front of a wall of monitors. He watched the live feeds, streets filled with peaceful crowds, people holding signs made in haste. "No more silence. Peace is strength. Let us choose." His advisors urged him to shut down the emergency network, to restore order, but he didn't move. Finally, he turned to the control console. His hand hovered over the defense command. One button, just one, could activate Nova Aiden's orbital weapons and begin a war that would scorch the skies. But instead he opened a channel to orbit. "Union fleet," Derek said, his voice calm but different now, less like a ruler, more like a man. "This is Chancellor Solon of Nova Aiden. We will not engage. We will open negotiations on one condition. Our sovereignty must be on the table." On the bridge of the Union flagship, the Admiral stared at the screen in stunned silence. Then she looked to her aide. "Stand down." Alex received the confirmation 2 minutes later. No ships would fire, no weapons would charge. The fleet would hold position, and a delegation would be sent to begin talks. Not demands, not ultimatums, but real diplomacy. He stepped back onto the balcony above Unity Square. The crowds below were still there, still chanting softly for peace, unaware of what had just happened. He tapped the local transmitter. "This is Commander Voss. The Union is standing down. Nova Aiden will not be attacked. You have been heard." Cheers broke out across the plaza. Derek joined him silently. "You did it," Alex said. No, Derek replied. They did. That night, for the first time since he arrived, Alex Voss slept without his boots on. He lay in his quarters, eyes closed, heart heavy, but steady. The people of Nova Aden had made their choice, and for once peace had won. The dawn over Ada Prime was different, not just in the sky, but in the hearts of the people below it. There were no alarms, no weapons warming in the dark silence of orbit. The Union fleet still hung in space like distant shadows, but now they waited not for war, but for words. Negotiations had begun. Inside the grand chamber of Nova Eden's central tower, Commander Alex Voss sat across from a panel of Union diplomats. To his right stood Chancellor Derek Solon. The air was still tense, but something had changed. No one shouted. No one threatened. For the first time since this all began, both sides spoke with purpose, not fear. Union Councillor Mira had arrived in person. She had aged since Alex last saw her, or perhaps it was just the weight of this moment pressing down on all of them. She looked at Derek, then at the displays around the room, images of the colony, the people, the cities they had built alone. You built all this from nothing, she said softly. Derek nodded. We did, with no help, with no promise of rescue, but we never forgot who left us behind. She met his eyes, and we must never forget what that cost you. There was no need for an apology. The truth was already written across every wall, every structure, every family that called Nova Aden home. The treaty was drafted over the next 2 days, simple, clear. Nova Aden would be recognized as a sovereign system. The Era Iron system would no longer fall under Union jurisdiction. Nova Aden would share non-military terraforming research with the Union in exchange for open trade and non-interference. No weapons would cross its borders without permission. It wasn't perfect, but it was peace. When the treaty was signed, it was broadcast live across both Nova Aden and Union space. Billions watched as history shifted, not because of conquest or force, but because two sides chose dialogue over destruction. As the final signatures were made, Alex stood off to the side, not part of either delegation, but respected by both. Kale Nira approached him quietly. You leaving soon? Alex smiled. As soon as the ink dries, she looked down. Most of us didn't believe peace was possible. We were trained to expect the worst. I know, he said. Sometimes expecting the worst is how we survive, but hoping for better, that's how we move forward. Later that evening, Derek met Alex on a quiet balcony overlooking Unity Square. The plaza was calm now, no protests, just families walking, children playing, and lights shining gently through the trees. It will take time, Derek said. For what? Alex asked. For people to trust again. For us to feel safe with open doors, but we've taken the first step. Alex nodded. You didn't have to. You could have fired those weapons. Many expected you to. Derek looked at the stars. I didn't want to become the villain in someone else's history. The two men stood side by side, not as enemies, not even as diplomats, but as survivors of a long broken past trying to build something new. I hope the Union learns from this, Derek added. I hope they look at us and remember that every colony, every crew, every citizen matters. Alex smiled faintly. So do I. The next morning, the Tranquility lifted off from Ada Prime's landing pad, climbing through the golden clouds and into the quiet of space. Behind it, Nova Aden shrank from view, a shining world surrounded by the stars that once threatened to swallow it whole. Alex watched silently from the viewport, a data pad in his hand. On it, a copy of the treaty, a symbol of what had almost been lost, and what had been won instead. He sent one final message to Union Command. Mission complete. Nova Aden stands, and they are not alone anymore. Then he closed the file and leaned back, letting himself breathe for the first time in days. There would be challenges ahead. Diplomacy wasn't a switch, it was a path. But they had taken the first steps, together, and sometimes that was enough.